All right, continuing to read a chapter of Proverbs every day. It's the second of the month, so we're doing Proverbs chapter 2. The benefits of wisdom. My child, listen to what I say and treasure my commands. Tune your ears to wisdom and concentrate on understanding. Now, what is this saying? We're going to read a lot about wisdom, foolishness, and prudence, and understanding and knowledge. Those are five of the key things here. The one bad one is foolishness. But there's a difference between wisdom and understanding. Wisdom is something that God will not hold back from you on. You could pray for wisdom daily, and I think you should. I try to remember to pray often for wisdom. But understanding is, it kind of meshes together with wisdom. We have wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. You can have knowledge, head knowledge on something, but not act wisely, or not see it from a wise perspective, or not have understanding how to synthesize it in your life to then act forth in prudence. We'll hear more about prudence as well. So you want to be a prudent person. You want your actions to be prudent, knowing wisdom and understanding and having a certain amount of knowledge. Sometimes at work or in family upbringing, whatever, there's knowledge you need as well. We'll hear more about that. It says, search out, or in this version, cry out for insight and ask for understanding. Search for them as you would silver and seek them like hidden treasures. Okay, so maybe we'll say wisdom is diamonds and understanding is emeralds. And I mean, literally, I mean, big hunking ones, not a little teeny diamond. I mean, just picture 20 carat diamonds you're finding each time. Each nugget of wisdom is worth far more than riches, gold, diamonds, etc. Because it affects everything in life. If you act wisely, everything is going to be better for you and for those around you. Then you will understand what it means to fear the Lord. Now, whenever you hear the phrase fear the Lord, don't tremble and think, oh, I'm afraid. No, fear is reverential appreciation. Fear is reverence, just in awe of God. We fear God. We reverence God. He's our heavenly Father. He's not there with a big stick or lightning in the sky waiting to toast us. No, we love Him. And we got to think about it every day when we read through these. Part of wisdom is understanding and knowledge that God is an awesome God. God is in the sky. He's inside of us. He's all around us. He's here. He's here to love us and guide us as a loving Father. Then you will understand what it means to fear the Lord, and you will gain knowledge of God. Yes. Verse 6, then for the Lord grants wisdom. From his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. We talked about that. He grants us a treasure of common sense to the honest. He is a shield to those who walk with integrity. You're going to walk through integrity when you're walking with in prudence, which stems from knowledge and wisdom and understanding. Verse 8, he guards the paths of the just and protects those who are faithful to him. Now, this doesn't mean every single step of the way we'll see obvious good things, and anytime we stumble, see something bad. No, in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve learned very quickly that when the snake lied to them, or whatever the serpentish character was representing the devil, say, "Oh, you won't die if you eat the fruit." God lied to you. He just says it would open up your eyes. You'd be like him. He doesn't want you to be like him. He's jealous of whatever they were inferring. No, sometimes sin takes a while to pay the price. You could drink poison and may not die for 2 years. You might die in 2 minutes. Similarly, with if you're not wise, you may die from lack of wisdom, but it may take you 20 years of alcoholism to get there. Um, Verse 9, then you will understand what is just and fair, and you will find the right way to go, because he guards the paths of the just and protects those who are faithful to them, as we saw. Verse 10, for wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will fill you with joy. Of course. I mean, ever know you do something, I don't care if it's too much caffeine, too much alcohol, too many illegal drugs, whatever, any illegal drugs, you may feel good for a short season or a minute or an hour or whatever, but after that, you don't have joy, right? In fact, when you have a high like that, that's not really joy. That's a worldly arousal or heightened state that's a temporary, just like a rubber band. You can stretch it, shh, let go, ping, it goes right back down again. It's like always pulling down, like gravity. So eventually, you need more drugs or artificial whatever it is to get you halfway up to where you normally were before you even did them. So what's the point of doing them? Number 11 would fit along these lines with wise choices, meaning don't do the detrimental drugs and stuff. Wise choices will watch over you, and understanding will keep you safe. Now, these are general axioms. Not saying that understanding will keep you safe in every area of your life, every millisecond that you can measure, but it's an overall thing, way safer than if you don't do that. Like you could get in a car accident. If you get broadsided due to no fault of your own, does that mean you didn't have a wise choice or understanding? Well, that can be debated. In theory, it may be that God gives us so much knowledge and understanding way beyond what our brain can understand. We don't even use 1 or 5% of it, or depending what expert you're talking to. And maybe we do know in advance which lane to be in, etc. And maybe we would avoid car accidents. I don't know, but I know that it's way better to flow in wisdom and understanding and godly knowledge and act in prudence than it is just to act in impetuousness and foolishness. And I'm preaching to myself here, teaching myself because I have been very impetuous in my life, and that's something I need some help on. So pray for me. Wisdom in verse 12 says, will save you from evil people and from those words that are twisted. Yeah, somebody twists words trying to get you to cheat somebody out of a deal to make some money. Oh, we'll do God and man a favor by cheating so and so, old Joe over here. It'll be worth it in the end. We'll fix it in the mix. Doesn't work that way. Yeah, don't follow twisted words or twisted paths like that. It turns sour anyway. You shouldn't do it because it's the wrong thing to do, but at the same time, it's not practical, not wise. It's got to turn sour on you anyway. These men turn away from the right way to walk down dark paths. They take pleasure in doing wrong, and they enjoy the twisted ways of evil. Their actions are crooked and their ways are wrong. But wisdom will keep you from that, generally speaking. You may get snookered once in a while from somebody, but they also have an old saying, not in Proverbs, but there's an old saying that says, you can't cheat an honest man. Meaning, if you're not greedy, you're not going to fall for greedy schemes, most likely. Okay. Now, verse 16, wisdom will save you from the immoral woman. And there's a lot of talk about immoral women in here, but I'd also like to extend this to men. There's a lot of immoral men out there. So if I'm reading man, you could think women too in reverse in a lot of these cases. Wisdom will save you from the immoral person, we'll say, from the seductive words of the promiscuous woman. Theoretically, it could be a promiscuous man giving seductive words, but let me keep reading. She has abandoned her husband, or the spouse has abandoned the other spouse, and ignores the covenant made with before God. Entering her house leads to death. It is the road to the grave, to Sheol. Yeah, you don't want to enter that door, let me tell you. You don't want to go down that road. The man who visits her is doomed. Well, there's good enough reason right there. He will never reach the paths of life. I don't need to comment on that. That's self explanatory. And it may not be right away again. A lot of these things are like time released. It takes a while for food to get in your system after that first bite. It takes a while for evil to catch up sometimes and do its cancerous activities in your soul, in your spirit. Verse 20. So follow the steps of the good and stay on the paths of the righteous, and for only the godly will live in the land. That's talking about conquering the land of Canaan. The Israelites eventually got in the promised land, the land flowing with milk and honey that Moses led them to and Joshua led them into. And figuratively, there is also today living in the land of good, security, plenty, and eventually the millennium, the messianic reign for 1,000 years, and then the hereafter and heaven for eternity, living as spirit beings and not being bogged down by this thing called flesh. Verse 22. Well, it's 21 to read again. For only the godly live in the land, and those with integrity will remain in it. Verse 22, the last verse in chapter 2 of Proverbs. But the wicked will be removed from the land, and the treacherous will be uprooted. So, do we want to be uprooted from the land? No. Do we want to be uprooted from God? No. Um, Can we fall away from God's love? We could willfully fall away if we choose to fall away, but no, we're not gonna be ripped away from it. And if somebody dies in your life, thank God for who's still alive. Thank God that you have your life. If and thank God for the time that you had this person in your life. Don't get bitter on God if He takes somebody away from you, a wife, a spouse, a child. If you get an illness and say, "Why does this happen to me?" Remember, life is a millisecond. It's not even a millisecond. It's such a short amount of time that if one of the easiest arguments I have when somebody has a problem with the Bible or with God, it's pretty easy. They say, "Well, why does God allow bad things to happen to good people? Why do you allow all this pain and suffering?" I have a friend of mine I've known for over 40 years who was asking me, "Why does God allow it? How can I follow God who allows so much evil in this world?" We could just remind him of the Garden of Eden and that there was no evil in the world. Adam and Eve were running around naked, and there's nothing wrong with that. They didn't see anything wrong with that. They didn't have a problem. They didn't know about evil. But once they plucked the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they knew evil. They didn't have to know evil before. It was like they were blind to it. But once they had knowledge of it, they had awareness of it, it's hard to unsee something. Just like pornography. If somebody flashes a picture of pornography at you, or if you willfully choose it, you might have that picture in your head for years to come. Don't even look at it. So taking the knowledge of pornography, or taking the knowledge of heroin, or taking the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, knowing what's evil now, it's tough. It's tough to put that back in the bottle, so to speak. So don't take the first look, the first lust, the first glance. Try to do its best, act wisely, act prudently. And it's been a pleasure to share with you today. Looking forward to tomorrow's adventure. Sounds kind of religious. Tomorrow's adventure. Tomorrow's reading of chapter 3. It's an adventure to me. And by the way, we don't want to just read Proverbs. This is just one thing every day. It's easy to remember. A proverb a day keeps the devil away, so to speak. So, Proverbs 3 tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy these. I'm getting a lot out of it. I'm teaching myself more than anybody else. If you haven't noticed through some of these teachings, it talks about talking too much, talking to me. It talks about being impulsive, talking to me. Maybe by the end of Proverbs this time, get it right. We'll see. Talk to you.